As you can see in this photo, it's exactly the same location as we saw with Don Hatley posing outside.
Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Today I wanted to share with you a finding in relation to Don Hatley and an older photo from the past. It's to do with a particular bar in which Don Hatley was at some point in the past with another guy, like a bikers club, bikers meeting. And considering that theory and idea has come up here and there in the Dylan Rounds case about a biker gang being involved, or at least one of the members knowing exactly what happened to Dylan Rounds, I guess there's no harm in kind of stitching it together today, portions of it, to try and make sense. I mean, I think it was the Sundowners, which was a reference to a specific biker gang out there. If Don Hatley was a part of it or not, that question hasn't been answered just yet. But some things elsewhere can be cleared up, and we can do that today with the usage of the maps. So make sure to stick around. I'll even do a side-by-side comparison just to prove to you that I have found the actual location. Okay, I believe Sun in the background checked themselves, but couldn't quite. I think may have misspelled it, or maybe it was just in the comment, the spelling mistake. But what I show today, you can compare to your findings, but I can say with great confidence that I have found the location and spot, and you'll see for yourself visually speaking. As for the comments, I'll try and catch up on them at some point. Welcome to those that are currently here in this live premiere. Feel free to share your thoughts, opinions in the live chat box on the right hand side. If anyone wants to leave any comments or questions, list them down below under this video. I can always respond back to them later. Down below you'll find a pinned comment by me with some additional links. If you want to support this channel in some way or another, it's all there. If you want to catch up on my last video or my recent short video, top right corner of the screen, click on the I symbol, you'll be able to find it from there. Okay? So with the recent talk and focus being on Don Hatley, some of you may wonder why or why now. Well, it's just because the time has come. And in addition, there wasn't always that much information on Don, or it was kind of spread out. Now it's kind of piecing it all together now from what we've learned with time. And we've been able to do these focused videos. There's no harm because we've done it with the other people. Might as well do it with this individual. I didn't get to do it in the past with Don, but now is the time. You think back to when I was doing it, way back then, didn't even have a photo of Don Hatley, but nowadays we do, the odd different one. Now, in terms of other areas of interest in relation to Don Hatley, such as living location, and some other previous reference to do a Dylan Rounds farm unrelated to Don, I'm sure we can mix it all up in today's video, okay, because it's just some loose ends that need to be tied up. And with Don Hatley and the map and the location of living, I noticed Skeptical left a key comment recently with some coordinates to check out, so be on the lookout for that in today's video. I'll be checking myself, see what's on maps, but also compared to Bing maps, just because of the time difference of it, see what's changed and what's been added, right? Because at least when I had a brief look, it did look pretty bare, as you would expect, considering Don moving on with time. So there's that to take into consideration. So a lot of map work today. I think we should get straight on into it. And first, let me share with you a photo to do with Don and the bar, just to put it into perspective for when we transition on to the maps, okay?
Here we are, this is the photo, Don Hatley on the left-hand side. On the right, not quite sure who that guy is, but there seems to be maybe a biker gang dressed in the biking gear and got the motorcycles too. And in the background, you've got McGrew's bar welcomes bikers. So you got the biker link there. Some trees in the background, little carport roof, and then you've got the fence border around it with I forgot what you call one of those things. Not a shed, like a canopy, a circular one. Now, as for this photo here, I'm not quite sure if this photo is inside of this building back there. I'm not too sure about that. But what we do have here is one of the screenshots or photos taken from Google Earth satellite imagery street view of this bar here. Okay, I'm going to show you the location of it today. You might argue and say, well, this looks different to that. but it is the same place, and it will be reinforced and confirmed later in this video. Okay, so let's now head on over to Google Earth and get a bit closer. So this is what it looks like when we're zoomed out. I did this just to exaggerate the distance, okay? So we're actually in Oregon, okay? Hopefully you can read it, Oregon. And it's like the far corner down here where you see a lot of thick vegetation. That where the marker is, McGrew's Restaurant and Lounge, that's where Don Hatley was and where the photo was taken. So with Don standing next to that other guy, obviously, or you would think there'd be a person behind the camera, so a third individual. I wonder who that third individual was. Now, as for when the photo was taken, I'm not quite sure. It could be around 2016, and it'll make more sense later on as to why I date it back to that point, just because of how one of the photos appears. But look, across Oregon on the right-hand side, you got Idaho, and then down below you got Nevada, and then to the right you got Utah. And considering that Don Hatley, obviously, at a certain point onwards, so let's say 2020 onwards, at least from how the story was told within the Dylan Rounds case, Don Hatley eventually made his way to Lucin, Utah, and started living there. And that's when Don introduced Brenner to the Rounds family, grandparents, and when Brenner was introduced to Dylan, and when Brenner moved over into Lucin, Utah from Montello, Nevada. So there's that. So I'm probably going to say before 2020 is when the photo was taken with Don Hatley at the Bikers Restaurant, if you want to call it that, in Oregon. Now we zoom on in, right? It's at O'Brien. I guess that's the name of a town also. See a lot of thick, dense vegetation. Now as for the dating, the satellite imagery, I'm not quite sure how up to date it is. It kind of looks a bit old, if I had to guess. Obviously, we haven't got the 3D available because there's not really many mounds, but you do have some, like, you know, farmers area, I guess ranches, like a river, main road by the side. Kind of, well, I don't know about it being a busy area, but a fair population in contrast to the likes of Lucin, Utah. Some buildings there, barns, farms. And then this is where we got McGrew's, as you can see. Looks a bit bare. Looks a bit open. What we'll do first of all is get on Street View, just so you get an idea of what the place looks like. Take in mind, there supposedly is other bars out there spelt or named the same, unless it's a franchise, unless it's multiple bars out there owned by the same people. So when you are searching for it, you might get a bit misdirected. Gas station, opposite Oregon Discount, Man's O'Brien Store. I don't think we can look at license plates, so we can't really check the year or get a rough idea. Over there, you got McLeod River Railroad Take and Bake Pizza. Okay, so use that for reference later when we look at some proper photos of the area. What's to do with US Post Office? That's another reference there with that old police car. You'll see it in the photos. Okay. What's that? Wildlife Safari. What the hell's that? Let me just have a look. Ostrich, feed me at Wildlife Safari, 105 miles to Winston. Okay, so maybe we can look at that in the future. What's that? Elect Wes. Oh, Commissioner. There we go. Wes Stump. Shout out to Wes watching in the background. It says elect Wes. Wes, you better get ready for election. Right. Anyway, back on track to the bar. So there's a few different buildings here. One back there which has, I think, a Mexican flag on the far end. Mid one here. And then this building there. Now, there might be a few signs which do look familiar to what we've seen, and the decorative style at the lower base of the building. But, you know, the banner isn't there, or wasn't there at the time. And over the fence back there, you got those like little canopies, but I don't know. It doesn't look the same type of canopy as what we saw in the photo of Don Hatley. Maybe that was a wooden one. This looks to be more material. And trees in the background, much bigger. But take in mind, right? Things can change with time. The decorations, how a bar does look, and how the vegetation is around. And it'll make more sense. Unfortunately, we can't get any closer. I can't really tell the date of when this photo was taken. but we can see the date of the other imagery, which we'll get up now. So piss off, there we go. Got some photos here. Most will be unrelated, but we'll go for it anyway, because whilst we're looking at these photos, you get an idea of what the place was like. And is there a reason why it attracted Don Hatley to a place like here? Because when we heard about Don Hatley and Brenner, they were in a quiet, desolate place. So does that compare to maybe a busy place like here? Obviously, people can change with time. But let's just take a look, because we've done it with Saddle Sore Bar in Montello, you remember? So this appears to be maybe like an outdoor section, but kind of like a decoration around, a Western theme, like an old bank, a saloon, wooden decoration, with some plastic chairs. To be honest, I think if Don sat in one of those, I think might need reinforcing with concrete. Moving on. We've got some food there, I guess a steak, some chips, and that piece of garlic bread. Interesting. I don't know if this video or this section will make anyone hungry. I'm not quite sure what's in the middle of it all though. Moving on. There's a salad there for Maria. All the vegetables. Looks a bit dry though, I'm going to be honest with you. Now, there we go, we've got a key photo here inside of the bar. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to see any similarities with the other bar photo, what we saw of Don inside, where he was wearing different clothing and he did look a bit different there. So that could have been taken at a different point, maybe a different location, to be fair. But, you know, we've got like a deer or so on the side. Skeleton there. That person's been probably in the bar for a bit too long. Got a reflection back there. Can't quite see any of the signs or symbols what we saw in the other one, which is a bit unfortunate. But it don't matter too much, to be honest. That must be outdoor section with the band. So, yeah, I'm sure people in the live chat here were talking about a band. Wes, Maria, Nance, a few other people. Dale, Matt Lingo. Looks like that's an example on stage. So, looks like the lead singer, Dale, is ready to sing and open his vocal cords. Got Matt Lingo, I think, in the background with a guitar. Unfortunately, lost his hat. But actually, I think the hat is balancing on a pole on the far right. Hey, Matt Lingo has got a new hat. Very interesting. Now, I wonder who's recording it. Well, of course, it's Maria. Maria in the VIP seats at the concert. Isn't that right? I'm sure you can upload this video to your channel too. There we go. Got some more food there. I don't know, is that a bit raw in the inside? The midsection? A bit underdone. Some curly things back there. Liquid. A dip. We got the dip pics, of course. Got to always include them, right? Got another outside bit. Was that Wayne and something? Whitefield? Right, and a rainbow in the background. Serviette, some mini carrots. They're very small carrots. Wow. Bits of bread cut up into squares. I mean, does this look like the type of place Don Hatley would go to, in your opinion? Does it look like it? I guess with time it's changed, but still, it kind of looks semi-formal. It's not like, it doesn't look like a really rough place, right? Is what you'd think maybe some people would go to. Got some prawns there, some mushrooms. Want to go to one of the portobello mushrooms? Right on, mate. There we go. And this is the key photo, what I was getting at. Okay? This is the key location. So the initial photo, what you saw of the street view, looked outdated. And it was. This photo, 2016. 2016 onwards, probably around the time Don Hatley was present too. Just basing off how it looks on here compared to how it looked on Street View, in which the Street View looked maybe more outdated. I would say there is that possibility, because it is hard to tell at times, right? It could be recent, that satellite imagery. If it keeps up to date, like how it did with Lucin, Utah in recent time, if that's truly the case, well then you could say that either the street view imagery of this bar is either much older than the time of when Don attended or much newer compared to when Don last was present or when the photo was taken. Things do come and go and change, but you can see here on that bar, the banner, McGrew's welcomes bikers, so one of the reasons why Don Hatley was enticed to visit her. And yeah, you got the decorative bottom at the base. Do we have any other photos of interest? Is that Ranger? What does that say? Vietnam? Oh my God! Veteran, Vietnam, Ranger! Time travelling through the years, my goodness. O'Brien or Elevation? Actually, yeah. Oh, actually, hold on a minute. A little jailhouse for the naughty people. Oh, Dale. We talked about your little confession box. Looks like this is the spot. Dale pokes his head through the little iron bars and pleads to be released so he can walk free. But yeah, you remember when I said about McLeod River Railroad? Well, what we saw in Street View is what we're looking at here. It's just zoomed in and it's probably more up to date. Maybe. That, oh my God, who parked that car? Joy Perry? It should be, it's wrong. It's horizontal. It'd be more diagonal. Oh no, Joy Perry, drunk on the pops. No wonder why. Park your car correctly, man. Terrible job. Anyway, that reference in the background to the railroad, as we saw in the Street View, you can tell it's of the same area, right? Just to reinforce it. Is that at a distance? Yeah. So it looks like the canopy in the background has changed once again. So yeah, furniture, outdoor equipment, that's 2017 as well, does change. The banner is no longer there. So that may come and go with time. You never know. Maybe as time went on, they might have upgraded the place or the standards and thought maybe bikers, it wasn't a good thing to attract those people, so they got rid of the banner. I don't know. Just a suggestion, because it's not there now compared to in the 2016 photo and compared to the Don Hatley photo. But I'm just giving you the point of view of the different perspectives of what it looks like inside and out and just reinforcing as to why it's the same location. All the alcohol back there. To be honest, it looks like majority of the bottles are pretty much empty. Leanne! We know you're behind the counter. Get your head up, okay? Stop with the bottles, okay? Are the bottles talking to you? Maybe it's time to stop. There we go. So we've got another angle there. And you could argue and say maybe the colour tone and theme may look a little bit similar to what we've seen in that other photo, Don Hatley inside the bar with the hog t-shirt on. There's always that small chance. I guess this might have been taken at Halloween time with the cobwebs. I don't think it's Miss T's cobwebs. No, I don't think so. Final photo, and yeah, there you go, US Post Office organ. So just final little bit of validation, if you want to call it that. We'll just do a side-by-side comparison and put it all into perspective. So what I've done, I've tried piecing it all together. Left-hand side, the photo of Don Hatley, whatever that dates back to. Right-hand side, two different photos taken at different points in times. One 2016, the other one, I mean, maybe it could be 2017 compared to like some of the images what we came across by the custom uploaded photos. The one thing that they've all got in common is that both of the, all three of the photos are of the same exact area, location, and bar. It's the same exact place. So you should be able to tell some of the similarities, right? You got that outside roof just above Don Hatley's head, okay? You can clearly see it in that photo there, near that red car. And also, well, you can't see it because it's out of shot. You get the idea. You got the fencing, the outdoor section on the left-hand side of Don Hatley. You see the wooden fence and then that canopy over the other side, protruding, sticking up, quite big. Different material there from the looks of it. Very similar to what we see here. You got the fencing once again. Canopies, they are different, but they can change with time. Fashion, dating, right? The lot. Anything else we can point out? Yeah, of course. So there, that glow up sign. Don't know what it quite says, but it's the same exact sign what you see in this photo down here of the place. Right? Now, what does that say? Sun rising? Gao rising? Sundown? I don't know. Could it be back to front? It could well be back to front, to be honest. I don't know if that means anything. Of course, more similarities would be the main banner up there. McGrew's welcomes bikers. That's exactly the same as what you see in the photo down here, much clearer. McGrew's welcomes bikers. This is the life, this is the bear. Okay? So that's pretty self-explanatory. So, yeah. And also the stone finish down there. Well, you see it in both this photo here, right? And also the one down here too. Okay? There it says currently we're closed. Okay. Lounge or Z Lounge. Same banner there, just a bit unclear. So I think we can all confirm that we found the spot. It's in O'Brien, Oregon, where McGrew's bar is and where Don Hatley was back in the past. Okay?
What I'll do now is I'm going to head on over to the comment section from the last video that I did, which does talk about Don Hatley, answer any questions, also look at Skeptical's key comment, which also acknowledges and transitions on into the next part of this video, where we look at the other map analysis and the new coordinates supposedly to do with Don Hatley. Now, there was some footage shared with me from the Dylan Rounds documentary, and, you know, some of us have already seen it because of it being posted on YouTube, and shout out to the odd individual out there. I don't know if to mention their name or not nowadays because I don't know if it causes unintentional resistance from elsewhere. But one thing to make very clear is, after watching that documentary, yes, I did use a small section under 30 seconds of the clip to do with another point. I'm not going to include it in today's video to get my point across because I got punished last time with an unfair copyright claim. So let's not go down that route. But I did watch the shared clip just recently in the background about a key point of interest and a flyby over, I believe, by Heavy D. And you'd be able to see it yourself on the YouTube channel of Heavy D's video, how that was used for the documentary and some other stuff too, and even a photo of Don Hatley. Let's try and piece it all together today. Let's look at the comments right now on the last video.
I'll just adjust it to the latest. I don't think there's that many to get through. Skeptical saying, just a reminder to share the information of the found remains. Very interesting. Pam saying, yep, going to get my info to Raf. I get my whoever daughter is coming over to help me get it to Raf. Not sure who it is. We won't know till they do some testing. Kind of weird where they found his body up at Utah area. So I did give Pam one's email, but I only did it in a short space of time because I didn't want it to be up there for that long, and because there wasn't a response and it was dragging on a bit, I just removed the comment of mine, okay, just to be safe, okay, just being cautious because you know other people out there can be desperate. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any other comments that talk about it, but Utah, once again, a body has been found in a certain area. I tried looking online for news reports, but, typical, no news reports, and yet it's something quite important, yet it doesn't show up online. I don't know what's the deal with Google going on there. We've got Cleo, informative video, that's good. Glenn, Dawn Marie, why did Don just up and move away? That's suspicious. I believe he's in this up to his eyeballs. Okay. So Don Hatley, or the talk about his move originally was he was going to Casper City, Wyoming. It's presumed that because his family or other family are over there living, that Don wanted to be closer to his family. I mean, that's a fair point, right? To take into consideration, okay, besides fleeing the area because he's guilty or responsible for something, you could argue and say, well, why did he not do it immediately? You could argue and say, well, if he did it too soon, it would look too suspicious. So you got to let the dust settle and then depart quietly in the background. And I think that kind of happened and was somewhat successful for Don. Supposedly his trailer was left behind because he had no more use for it, I guess. We'll see if that shows up on the map later. But, if it wasn't down to suspicion, just to balance things out, you could move because of where family are. You want to be closer to them. Maybe the age you want to be closer to certain people. But I do think that because his friend or supposed friend Brenner has been taken away for obvious reasons, unrelated charges and supposed related charges to the Dylan Rounds case, and that Dylan Rounds is no longer present and presumed dead, and if Don was friends with Dylan truly, well, that's a friend lost and another friend taken away. What does Don have left? He hasn't really got anyone, at least in that area. It's fairly a ghost town in Luton, Utah, population very low. So what's left for Don? What's like good for him there? Maybe nothing anymore. So he wanted to move away, move elsewhere. I understand that. I said we're just for and against arguments, if that's what you're wondering. Now, what does Pam say here? Thank you. This is a lie about Lance Kelly being with a 16-year-old. Don't know why Ty Corbin would lie about something like that. Yes, I do think Don Hatley had something to do with Dylan Rounds. Right, okay. Skeptical, a longer comment here. Don Hatley's behaviour is definitely suspicious. 5th to 28th, on the day Dylan Rounds disappears. Has a barbecue, invites Brenner. How much did he find out on that day? Right. So it's a bit of a timeline, this, what Skeptical's produced. So the 28th day of May, May being the 5th month, okay? And talking about Don Hatley initiating the barbecue and the invitation for Brenner to come on down. Yes, it's true. What did he learn about Brenner on the day, if Brenner was willing to talk at all about it? Then, day later, the 29th of May, gets a call from Karen Rounds. Don's called by Karen. Supposedly searches for Dylan with Brenner. Supposedly seen by Ty Corbin crying over Dylan's disappearance and what's happened to Dylan. Yeah, why would Don be breaking down and crying when we don't know at that point, at that moment in time, that Dylan is dead? Unless Don did know, and that's why he was crying, right? And then also supposedly takes a fishing trip with Brenner on the same day, whether it all happened or only one of the two things did. Then the day later, on the 30th of May, tells Candice Cooley, yes, I think it's okay to do that now, after she tells him she's filing a missing person report. Why would Don Hatley give Candice Cooley the thumbs up, the green light to say, now you have permission to report him missing? Why does Don have the final say? Shouldn't it be Candice Cooley when Candice is the mother of Dylan Rounds? Candice Cooley said herself in the official Dylan Rounds documentary, Don's behaviour was a red flag. Right? Take that into consideration. Next thing. So we're going into June 2nd, 6th of the 2nd. Helps Brenner dispose of trash, Don Hatley. The bags from the spring cleaning that may have contained evidence, so possibly down to Wendover. 12th of June, picks up Brenner from jail from his first arrest of having gunpowder and related items because of, Ellie stated, Brenner did not commit any violation of law, in quotes. 21st of June, Brenner is arrested again, this time on gun charges after Don Hatley tells Ellie in an interview Brenner gave him guns to hold. Why? Why would Don Hatley be an obvious friend to Brenner but cause him to be arrested? I'll leave it open to speculation. See, you could say that, not guaranteed, but just as an idea, Don Hatley may be friends with Brenner, but at the same time, Don is willing to risk a friendship for his own safety or, avoid being taken in. Robert says Rico used to prosecute multi-generational family gang. Candice is an IRS injured spouse case, or she was under Justin's control, or maybe she was a willing participant in illegality. Right, okay. And that appears to be it for the comments there. So maybe it was actually the other video what I looked at where I had the coordinates on. I just remembered there was a prompt. Nevertheless, talk about Don Hatley and the events leading up to, almost after Dylan's disappearance and how he was reported. A few red flags too. Now, let's take a look at the coordinates. Right, here we are on the map. As you can see, you got Lucerne. I think we're facing the wrong way. There we go, facing the correct way now. I'm just going to type in the coordinates straight away, okay? Might not even have to type it because I think I've already searched it before. Takes me right there. You can see a bend on a gravel roadway from the looks of it. It looks a bit more defined and prominent. Across there, you do have maybe a waterhole, maybe for animals, wildlife. But what's around the bend? What's further on up down here? There seems to be a bit of flat ground here. Huh. Okay, so this looks like maybe a spot where one once lived, like Don Hatley. What I do want to say, I will do a separate video looking closer at this. I just wanted to have a quick look right now because the main part of this video was to do with Don Hatley and the bar, okay? But yeah, what you will see as just a very brief reference point, how it was mentioned in the documentary, this is the exact spot and location of Don Hatley's place of living based off that. And I will show you before and after to reinforce and prove it. But for now, let's not go too far. Let's just at least acknowledge. And of course, big shout out to Skeptical for piecing it together and looking back at the Dylan Rounds documentary. I guess the crazy part in it all is that with the documentary that I watched too, I didn't pick up on it immediately, okay, with the photo, that it was standing in plain sight all this time by the likes of Heavy D, who did the flyby over. It's just that at the time he did not label it as Don's place, but in the documentary they certainly did. So that's very interesting now. And to be honest, to be fair, if I did try looking on the maps with Google Earth satellite back then in 2022, it was 2019 satellite imagery, so it could have proved to be a little bit difficult to track the location. And if I tried it now, which you know what we're doing, this is obviously past the point of Don moving on, hence why there's not much there. There's only that remains. And is that supposed to be a trailer or a shed? Because it looks kind of small. Maybe it is some kind of trailer, but his other trailer or RV is not there at all, so it was taken. Very interesting. You can see the pathway as it goes round, bends round, you work your way all the way down. It's quite a long one, to be honest, isn't it? How long is that? And what does it lead to if I followed it all the way? Leads to, well, it looks like a main road. Luton Airport over there and Luton being here. Right. So if you got the pond area, let's just say, you drive off, go round here as if you're going to Luton Airport, but you take a turn off at whatever point you're able to, such as here on this bend where that car's parked, interesting, alongside the dirt road there, bend round, in and out. Yeah, not going too far off because originally we said this was the place of Don's, but it's not. It's over on the other side, over that way, right? Originally we thought here was the spot. We had that like gravel bit on top, but now it's actually over that way. As I said, we can do like get off. We can do like a line, we can do an analysis, we can map it all up together. I've actually got before and after photos now, right? That's great. See, you know, it could have been done in the past, but it wasn't as clear. And with all the other people in the background and the experts and the locals claiming to say this is the spot, but it's not. And in recent times, the odd other individual locals saying, no, we can't reveal the location. Well, looks like we found it now. And if anyone does complain publicly, oh, why are you revealing the location? Well, it seemed perfectly okay and legal to mention it in the Dylan Rounds documentary and even Heavy D. Okay? Anyway. And as well, there could be a possibility that this area does get dismissed as the wrong place, possibly as an attempt to cover it up. Okay? You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Skeptical. Okay? Very good. Calculates a different perspective. I mean, to be fair, it's not that far away. I'm not going to measure the distance because I'll lose the marker, right? I'll have to create a new project. When you start adding measurements on, you lose the coordinates and then it's hard to trace back, right? But it seems to be away from the other areas, kind of isolated. It's actually, well, if you're looking over that way, Bald Eagle Mountain in the distance. Yeah, very interesting. That's good to know. And it's bare because this is more modern, okay, past the point of Don moving on. So that's why there's no activity there. So an area like this, has it been, or if it hasn't, should it be investigated? Now, with that being taken into consideration, this area will make more sense in a standalone video, okay? So be on the lookout for it. But what I wanted to do quickly is look at Dylan's farm because there was some unfinished business there where some people were saying how when you zoom on in, next to the K symbol, where's the K symbol though? How do you look for a K symbol on here? Right, that's the K symbol there, and just in between it on the left hand side it looks like someone's bent or the knees are bent. Personally, I can't see it immediately, so there might be a reason for that, okay? What I would say is it does look kind of camouflage and blends in because of the natural terrain itself being similar around. Personally, I can't see anything like a figure or a person with the knees bent. If it really was the case, I mean, the scale of it on satellite imagery, to be able to see it, wouldn't it mean whatever's on the ground is quite large and big? You know, if we can just about make out a small vehicle or car, if you can clearly make out a person, you think of the scale of it, it doesn't seem quite realistic. But nevertheless, I just wanted to revisit this because people were saying that they could see something. Now, personally, I can't, okay? I'm looking in the area people are pointing to, kind of in the midsection here, on the left-hand side of the K, on the right-hand side of that circle that was originally highlighted there with the black mark was. And maybe if I looked at it long enough, maybe I could see something, but then maybe that's more so I'm putting an image into my mind which isn't truly there. Maybe how the rock formation is naturally, it gives off an illusion like there could be something actually there, right? Hopefully that makes sense to people. I mean, if you had like a dirt road and someone was laid out flat out, or a couple of people wearing a bright red shirt, yeah, maybe that would stand out a lot clearer than something like this. But just wanted to revisit it to see if I could check it from a different perspective. At this moment in time, I'm not able to. Maybe in the future I can look back again, but yeah, that's what I just wanted to do there, clear things up.
Hopefully you found this video interesting. Appreciate people's patience. Be on the lookout for the next video whenever that comes. But for now, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night for now.